For help. Welcome to J Silver Presents, where we present the best in esports from your favorite players. I am joined by Vulcan of Cloud9. They locked in second place after pretty much a banger of a game. Vulcan, congratulations on the win. How do you feel about locking in second place?
Yeah, thank you. Honestly, it wasn't so much about second place or third place today. It mostly felt like a confidence game where we really want to win because last split we had struggles against TL and Fly in playoffs, and obviously we lost to TL last week, so we wanted to bounce back from that. And yeah, so it feels really good to show that we've improved and we're like able to compete now compared to how it was last split. And even though the games were like, kind of tense and stuff, we were able to come out on top, so it feels really good.
Mm-hmm. Let's focus on game two for a little bit. Were you guys prepared for the Neela, Rakan, Nautilus shenanigans?
Absolutely not. We were quite surprised, especially when they picked Rakan and sent Knowledge Stop. We haven't seen that one in a while. Um, but thankfully, like, it's not like they counter us too hard with the flex pick because they picked Rakan, which is it's a known good matchup against Braum. But the only thing it does is like it gives them a lot of freedom in the game because Braum doesn't really have the CC to be able to lock down Rakan, which is the one thing you kind of need against Rakan is like being able to CC him and one shot him if he positions like too far. But with Braum, it's pretty difficult. So Rakan can kind of run circle around us in mid game. They had like a really strong early game with Nyla being like ahead in levels and stuff. So we had to like concede basically everything and try to play that game from behind. And I think we did a really good job adapting to their crazy picks and like defending well on the fly during the game. So I was pretty happy with that.
You mentioned very briefly that this was a confidence game. I know in watching some interviews with Blabber and just some stage things in between games, I know this was a very important game for you guys mentally as well as just overall strength. So how did you prepare coming from last week with that very close loss to Team Liquid and help you get better into this week?
We just wanted to make sure that we play, like practice and play on stage drafts that we like I guess drafts that give us the best chance of winning, like playing champions that we think our style fits the most and how we're able to like play the game from that and how we can like maximize these champions. Like we want to be really, really good at the champions that we choose to play. Obviously have enough of those that we can like not be banned out and be in trouble in draft, but making sure that we're like playing stuff that fits our style. We are like confident when we look at the champs, the 5 champs after draft, we're like, okay, we know what to do. We know how to do it. And that was our focus going into this week's practice.
Sounds good. I do want to ask about Braum. I know from talking to you over the years, Braum is a champion that you know pretty well, and we've been seeing a lot more of him across the world. And in talking to some of the other supports throughout the couple weeks, we know that Braum's been very prevalent in the meta. So how does it feel to be returning to a comfort pick of yours?
Honestly, Braum is very chill because most of the time I'll pick him into like melee supports, like engaged champs that must go in. And I know that every breath I take, I'm kind of outscaling the other guy. And he's the one with the pressure to like, obviously he plays the owner and all this. He's going to have to go in at some point. And my job, I'm just there to block stuff and stop their engage. And maybe like if they misposition, I can always like kind of engage. My champ is like a bit of both. And I'm always like, yeah, I'm in the mindset like, all right, well, let's see what you can do because I don't have to do much. Like obviously I won't AFK, but you know what I mean? Like I can just know that I'll outscale the other guy. And that's like very peaceful in a way. And I have so many games on Braum, like I can always, pull it
Yeah.
out. So yeah.
I think you have almost over 7-8 years of Braum at this point. So I do want to ask a little bit about engaged champs. One of the things I know from talking to you is that you love these engaged champs. Last week you played the Lulu at one point, and I know that's not you play the champ, but I know that's not something you prefer as much. So how does it feel to be kind of returning to your comfort zone of these engaged champs, like the Leona, like the Rakan, Nautilus, and Braum?
Yeah, it's nice. You have much more freedom in the game to like dictate how it's going to be played, in my opinion. And I like being in control. And when I'm in control, I feel like I can see the map easier. I can kind of almost understand the game better when I'm able to go in or I'm able to be proactive. So it feels obviously much better to feel like you're in control of the game and you're the reason why you win or maybe the reason why you lose if you do bad.
All right. So let's focus a little bit about you and Berserker. When I talked to you in spring, I know you and Berserker were still working on your synergy. You guys were still considered one of the best bot lanes in North America. So how has it been over the course of these last 5 or 6 months working with a player of Berserker's caliber?
Yeah, it's very nice. It's very easy because we're both pretty easygoing, and we like have we can have like pretty strong opinions on different points sometimes, but we're able to talk it out. And it doesn't really. Today and last week were a lot of lane swaps, so we didn't really get to lane all that much. Um, so it's hard to say exactly how good we're doing because in scrims we've been on different pages a little bit recently. Um, so there's that, but yeah, I think we're progressing. Obviously, there's always gonna be like work to be done for any team, any duo, any team member, like teammates.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, like we didn't really lane, so it's hard to say exactly like, oh yeah, like I feel so much better about our laning when it was a lane swap most of the time. But we're always like super comfortable on stage. I think both of us like lock in more when we're on stage, and obviously focus a bit more, and it always goes pretty smoothly, I want to say. So happy with
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the other big changes I wanted to ask you about, because you were on that C9 spring roster when Reaper was on the team, I do want to ask a little bit about Reaper's return. I've been seeing a lot of things with him on stage, when they do their coaches' interviews, how Reaper's been adapting. And you in particular, I know being one of the shot callers of the team, it's very important to have that relationship between the shot callers and the coach. So how's it been working with Reaper again?
It's honestly super nice because he has a very great skill of being able to like dumb down a situation and like explain in the most basic what should be done or what he thinks should happen. And that's something that is very valuable because sometimes reviews will run a really long time when you try to go deep into a topic. And a lot of the time as well, what happens is that you look at like such specifics that you're not really sure are going to happen again in the next game. What you want to be able to do is have like a concept that's applicable to the next game, or at least most games. And I feel like Reaper is really good at keeping it broad enough that you can apply it to the next game or when you have the similar draft, stuff like that, where I think we're not going as deep into like the specifics of one situation and making it super complicated. Um, so it's easier to remember, easier to talk about, easier to move on from. So you're not stuck on the same thing for 30 minutes. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that has helped us like kind of like play more simple League of Legends a bit and like dumb down the way we play so that we're not like confused about what's happening maybe, or we can be on the same page easier, stuff like that. So I think it's been a huge help.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Couple more questions for you. Number one, you're locked in the playoffs. You're locked into the second seed bye. You only need one more game to lock in Worlds. Who would you want your opponent to be? I know you guys have been saying it's most likely going to be FlyQuest, but who would you want to face off against to earn your spot at Worlds?
Um, I mean, I would want to face Dig probably, um, because I think we match up pretty well against them. I think we've had a lot of success against them scrims. On stage, they did take us to game three, but I think they'd be the team if I had to choose that would be the most comfortable against. But yeah, like you said, it doesn't really matter what we want. I think unless TL does something funny like picking FlyQuest to prove a point, I
Mm-hmm.
think we'll end up playing them, and then most likely the winner obviously goes to Worlds. The loser is gonna, I think, run through the lower bracket because, as the fans probably see, there's kind of a big gap between the top three
Oh yeah.
and the other teams. Obviously, you need to do the work and win the games when playoffs come around, and we'll see. There's often you think a team is going no matter what to Worlds, and then this other team suddenly ramps up for playoffs. They like click and then they make it. So
Mm-hmm.
whichever one of us loses that match, we'll have to go through those teams and make sure they do they get the job done. But yeah, we'll be playing FlyQuest.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Very quickly, I want to ask, what happened to Team Canada this week? I was watching this. I was watching the show match, and I was like, "What happened to Team Canada?"
I mean, Team Canada. I think we had Showmatch Jojo Pian show up, and also there was a Twitch laning mid against him, like on every wave, so it was a bit difficult to handle. And Yeah, we did not represent the nation well, but I think it's been rumored that there'll be a tournament of like national teams and stuff, where like obviously
That's
people will play it seriously,
mhm.
which I'm very excited for. I think it'd be cool to represent the country and play against like countries from Europe, the US again,
Yeah,
stuff like that. Sounds very exciting.
that's what I'm hearing, but I'm just the reporter here. Lastly, is there anything you'd like to say to the fans of C9?
Yeah, thank you for cheering for us. I hope we keep making you guys proud of supporting us, and see you guys for in playoffs.
All right, but that's all the questions I have. Vulcan, it's always nice to chat with you. Best of luck in playoffs, and hopefully we'll get to see you on the world stage.
I'll see you there. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
See ya.
In for hell.